Now share screen. So this is Leahy level 3 analysis form. For any and I'm going to ask everybody to look at your language sample so I can, well, I'm opening this up first. I strongly recommend you bring in any item on your sample that you feel you need help with, because I'd like to do it here. I could work with you here as a part of every session to remind ourselves about how to do this, A, and B, I want to reiterate why I find it so important. I've said it, I'm sure, last time and every time. But when I talk about language, and I believe when you assess and treat, you're focusing on two things. Language has two things going on. Experience, cultural, linguistic experience that the child brings to language learning and to learning math and science and social studies and about playing baseball and all the stuff that people learn. That's experience, but they also have their brain they bring to it as a human being. And your mind does things. And you don't have to experience anything for your mind to do stuff. Well, you do kind of, but the point being, your mind does stuff because you're a human being, and things did stuff to you because you became, you developed into, from a baby, from a zygote to right through development to be a person. Genetically speaking, nobody had to tell you to do that. Nobody had to have experience. If you're following, nobody has to teach you to walk. So the same kind of thing is applying to language. There's stuff in your mind that's applying to language. So we have language, those two things operating on language. The Bloom and Leahy piece and all analyses of disorder, all of it, gets the sample of behavior from an actual experience, but analyzes the behavior with reference not only to experience and not only to right and wrong. It evaluates behavior according to how what the mind's contribution to it is, its organization, generative organization. And the Bloom and Leahy format is one format that does in fact identify first semantic basis of linguistic organization, semantic relations. Brown has that stuff too. I can't identify a better, not to say there doesn't need to be more research on this, and that it's as culturally and linguistically sensitive as it should be. It is not. But Leahy has in it these things called content categories, which are categories of ideas that individuals have when they talk. And we did say and I stress this, I can't stress this enough, that the foundational reason for speaking, the foundational function of language, is in fact ideation. The having, as Duckworth says, of wonderful ideas. So if you're doing an evaluation of language or treatment, and you want to understand your client and get the most complex and best performance from your client, you will allow your client spontaneity and to talk about what's on their mind, about whatever the heck it is they're interested in, or you get them interested in, that they're interested in, that they're engaged with. Am I making any sense there? It's the organizational part that is, a lot of people have so much trouble with it. I'm not sure. I know it sounds abstract. Content categories of ideas. It's way better to, way more concrete to talk about a bottle of water or something like that, or my monkey here. because I'm also going to talk about cognition today. And cognition has the same two parts to it. In fact, all behavior does, but cognition for sure. It has what you experience and you become aware of that you're experiencing. But as it turns out, of course, cognition has in it mind function. We human beings are aware of what we're aware. I always point to I took a lot of pictures of spider webs last summer, which I'm not going to waste time. I didn't cue them up, but I was going to put them up because spiders are into webs. And we're into whatever we're into, if you're following me. So that there's an organizational part of cognition and an organizational part of language and everything. We looked at that when we looked at sensory motor behavior, right? Locomotion, the stuff that leads to locomotion. The reflexes, those children in those basic positions that were demonstrated: prone, supine, prone prop, sitting and standing. I think I got finally to standing, right? I showed walking. Those positions: flexion, extension, rotation, counter rotation, and all the stuff that goes there, all of which it comes out of the mind, not at all from anybody teaching anybody anything. But you do learn through experience all the skilled motor acts, like writing with a pen, skiing, dancing, tap dancing, and stuff like that. There's these two things. Well, this Leahy language 4, the language analysis then identifies, as we reviewed last week, verb relation content categories with reference to syntax, which exists like every other part of language: phonology, morphology, syntax, story grammar, everything. It all exists for one purpose and one purpose only: to express what is on the person, your mind, my mind, any speaker's mind, and to try to ultimately figure out what's on someone else's mind, which we always tend to do from our own point of view, unless we can get away from that somehow. Making any sense here? So in any event, if you could turn to your thing, could somebody give me a single verb sentence here? Where in fact, I'd love to have a single verb sentence where there's a lot of other stuff. It's one verb, but there's a lot of stuff in it. I.e., it'll be a content category, and I like coordinated stuff too in it. And yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, say it again.
Found my monster truck.
Yeah, found. I'll blow this up to be bigger. Found my monster. That's cool. Thank you. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Found my monster truck. That's cool. I am going to make these this part here bigger. That would be if I could figure out how to do it. And the problem is I turned off the ribbon. Blah, blah, blah. Found my monster truck. I'm going to give her. Okay, so what, on the tippy top of the page, since you gave us the thing, what would be the verb relation content category there?
Action.
Yeah, action. I would agree. So I'm writing action on top. Then I would ask you, how many, there are a slot here called included, everybody, you see that? I'm moving it over a little bit. And expected. And what does that refer to? Constituents. That is parts of grammar that are used to code the content that we just expressed. By the way, the idea of action, now action is, I want everyone to see if I can get this to resonate with you. It is one of those things that the human mind focuses on, becomes aware of when, from the cognitive side of things. that human mind becomes aware of action. My dog does action. They play, my dog buries bones, and he plays a game with me where he grabs something on my socks usually, and he wants me to chase him around the house. So he's into action too. However, I don't think, he's not talking about it. I'm not sure he's thinking. He certainly isn't talking about the chase, the word chase, although he wants me to chase him without a doubt. Now, maybe he does have a representation of it somehow that's conscious and that's linguistic. You follow me? So you have action. Everybody, in fact, all animals have action. Ants walk around with stuff on their back. Everybody has action. But only humans talk about it. So you must have something in our minds. And we talk about it universally, don't we? Doesn't matter what country you're in or what language you speak. Might be different actions. But that's what you do. And noticing it allows you then to learn about any kind of action, jump, run, et cetera, and you'll see in intervention planning, we keep this in mind. It's very, very, very important because the outcome of any intervention is going to be these kinds of things. That's what you're always shooting for when you're intervening on a language disorder. So how many of these included? The included in things are the three main parts of syntax according to this Bloom and Leahy thing are S, V, and C. Subject, the head noun or pronoun on the subject, noun phrase subject, the verb phrase predicate, its head, and its object, and its head. So in this thing, how many of these things are there?
Well, he did say I.
He didn't say it. You're right, no I.
So would it be two?
Yeah, it's only two, because what do we have here? We have what's the head of the verb phrase predicate?
I mean, it's implicitly I.
No.
Oh, the verb phrase, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Found.
Yeah, found. I is the subject.
Right.
It's not included. And in English, you don't put the first person on the verb. In Spanish, you can do away with the yo, right? And who's Spanish speaking here right now at home?
Me.
Could you translate this to Spanish?
The sentence found my monster truck.
Sí.
Encontré mi carro de monstruo.
Monstruo. Say that again.
Yo encontré mi carro de monstruo. Like,
Yeah, so the yo there is I. You don't have, but am I right? You don't really have to say the yo.
not really. Like, you just conjugate found to encontré.
Yeah, encontré. Encontré. Etc. And that's first person singular. Am I correct? More or less?
Yes.
Past. And it's past, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, see? So it would be redundant in Spanish to put an I there. So the second set, so here you have V, and what is the object of found? The head word for it, meaning the main important, the one that's what in essence was found. What goes with found?
Oh,
No, because found my,
no.
is that in essence what do you find? Yeah, found truck. That's the internal object. I'll use the term internal merge. Internal to that found is the object found and the finder, which isn't included in this case. In English, and we don't have a Spanish version. So C, 2. So I put an X next to 2. See that there? 2. But if an adult said it, how many would be expected in English? The answer is 3, because you would expect the I. However, sometimes even adults say, found it. All right. But for Bloom and Leahy's sake, we consider all 3. Now in Spanish, if you are doing this, first of all, you've got some issues, and the Bloom and Leahy thing really hasn't been done outside of English, unfortunately. But because you have the verb, but if it was encontre, you do have first person singular here, first person singular past on the the encontre thing. So you could say, well, it was that additional thing was included. The subject was included there. However, again, the research needs to be done on that. Not on the fact that it's there, it's always there, but how to handle it, etc. Universals are really important. These things are important because one thing I'm going to be urging everybody to always keep in mind when you're doing assessment or treatment, and that is if your client is bilingual or bidialectal, it's coming into a situation where English is either not at the L1 or may be the dominant language, but still another language is influencing the client or another dialect. You have a responsibility, even if you're monolingual, to ask questions about the other language and become familiar with elements of it that could be having an influence. So you don't misdiagnose, on one hand, a language disorder, or you don't over-identify a disorder when it's a language learning issue, or a learning through L1 when it should, learning through L2 English when it should be L1. If you know what I'm talking about. Follow me on that? These things, like you can always ask yourself, well, how does Spanish express action? How does, or state things, or temporal things and stuff like that. These universal elements of semantics and syntax are very functional for us as clinicians in a million different ways. Now, what do we do with my and monster? Because we don't want to not pay attention to those. The kid has additional knowledge that they're expressing. The idea isn't just a truck, just any old truck. It's my monster that has to be accounted for. How would you handle it?
And then this word clause as session, do you need to use syntax?
No, on this chart. You're not, yeah, well, both in terms of the chart, and you're thinking of how to get into the sentence. That's an interesting thing, because the core relationship here is I, which isn't expressed, found truck. You follow me? That is what I'll call the internal core relationship. It's that relationship the kid is expressing. The my goes with what? It goes with the truck. There are two words that go with truck, with the noun, my and monster. So we need to handle the fact that they're not part of the core SVC, but they're part of other elements of the sentence they're brought in. That's called, I'll use the term external merge. And on the bottom of the chart, you see the word coordinated. And that's what you're doing. I'm asking everybody to think about identifying in a single verb sentence the main verb relation content category that you put on top, which is the category that generates the SVC, and the extra stuff on the bottom. So you would add then the term possession, which is teeny weeny here. And you can use these sentences should be numbered, like number 1. And then on the bottom is a possession, you can put 1 there. I can see it. I can go up and see it, or you can put my there, however you want to do it. Possession. And then monster, not a truck, but a monster truck. So monster gets what content category? Existence? No. It does specify it kind of, but it's an attribute, yeah. It's a monster truck. Specification is simply this one, that one, it's an article thingy. Or it's an entire relative clause. The truck, which was a monster, crushed the house, which was a monster, that would in fact make its specification at level 4, but we'll come to that very shortly. I'm reviewing. So the next coordinated one is, what do we say, attribution? 2 is sentence number 1. Is at home, are you following this idea? And this level 3 analysis form is what's used for single verb sentences where there is syntax and at least 2 of these constituents here, SV, VC, SV, SC, or SVC. And again, it's valuable in a million different ways. Another way is that by this analysis, I am explaining to you how the child's mind organized that sentence in getting it ready to produce. And therefore, if I'm setting goals for kids, because the child is delayed, I know I'm not going to teach the kid. First of all, I'm not going to think of this in any way, shape, or form as a sequence of words. This is not a sequence of words, even though it looks like a sequence of words. One of the problems of being stuck in English has subject, verb, complement in a particular sequence, in that sequence. There are some languages that can go in any sequence, and some languages where it goes the other way around, like Tagalog and stuff. Japanese, I think, goes the other way around. That is verb first. Some languages, completely free order. How is that possible? It's a good question. That should be extremely interesting to us SLPs. So no, it's not it's chunks. So it's the subject, I, and then it's the predicate, found my monster truck, and it's found truck. And your mind, when the child is asked, what's the main idea of this? Tell me something about a story. Well, the kid has to read it and process the sentences and know what's related to what in order to answer the question. And that will, or you have to listen to me and figure out what the hell Moses is speaking about. You got to process the sentences. You're doing it by subject, what's the head, predicate, what's your brain asks, what's the head, complement, what's the object, and it does the analysis. It does the computation, quite frankly. Computation. Give me one more. Let's hear one more from home. From home. Look at everybody here. From home, somebody give me a sentence that's also single verb with coordinations. Check your sample.
You taking a picture.
Say that again.
You taking a picture.
Yeah, you taking a picture. I know you can't see it right now. I know I have to share screen. I get it. I know. Seeing it? Did I share it okay? You taking a picture, see it? Again, what would be the content, verb relation content category here?
It's action.
Yeah, it's action again. Yep. So it's on the right page. How many constituents included? This one only has 2, by the way, but expected. How many constituents on this one? Included? Yes.
Is it also 2?
Well, what 2 and 3 refers to what? We don't want to guess. We want to do it systematically, no guessing, systematically. It is a non-standard but systematic assessment procedure, which you'll be using in clinic, by the way. What is it that you're looking for to answer my question? When I say included, how many?
So we have a subject, you,
Yeah, right. What are the 3 things you're looking for?
verb,
Yeah, S, V, and what's the C part?
constituent,
No, I'm using the term complement, which
Oh, the,
means object. It's the same as object.
yeah.
Complement. And you're always looking for the head part of it, because sometimes these things can be whole phrases themselves. So you as the subject, you're right. I put an S there. Is there a verb here?
Yes,
Yeah,
taking,
take. And picture is the complement, the object of take, right? So how many are there? In this case?
3.
Correct, 3. And how many would an adult produce? Just exactly like this, 3. Not Z, 3. X, in other words. Now the ing, what does that do in there?
It's progressive tense, taking.
Can't hear you, louder, please. So.
Progressive,
Yeah, very good. Progressive tense. And what is she leaving out, by the way? She is omitting something, right? What?
auxiliary,
Yeah, the auxiliary. Very good. Excellent. Wonderful. That's what the word, that thing called comments here. That's what you can go, that's what that's for, is you can make notes of the things that are missing that you would typically, you might expect. Now, it doesn't mean it's wrong. We don't do right or wrong. We're just asking developmentally, where is the child? Developmentally, what phase or stage, which is different. You're not saying right or wrong. That's what another reason why the Bloom and Leahy format is so unique and, in my opinion, important, and addressed a bias many years ago, which continues to be a bias. I believe there's an anti-child bias in psychology, and in our field, it's another form of institutional bias out there. Kids are judged by how they behave according to adult standards. And what's right, and on one hand, yes, we're teaching them and everything, so yes, that makes sense under some circumstances. But on the other hand, adults get a lot of leeway in how they behave. You say, well, we're adults, we can keep ourselves safe and stuff like that. If you look at our politicians, I know I'd raise some issues there. Cuomo's in trouble now, being out of control. You know what I mean? All of us, I mean, really. But the point being, Leahy, any developmental scale or developmental taxonomy, if it's done properly, it gives you the child's organization, point of view, perspective, behavioral patterns that are related to the maturation of the child's mind, as well as the experiences the child might have had, which will never be as extensive as adults, typically. And the organization is not going to be the same. It is not the same. Kids do not live in the same world you and I live in as adults. Not just because their experiences are different familially and culturally, but because their brains think about things differently because they're kids. Following me? Just like spiders probably think about things differently, and dogs and everybody. And then puppies compared to adult dogs, probably. So this ing, by the way, goes under the ing, you're right, and is that what it is? The auxiliary is not there, but it is also coordinated as you could, if you want to do a study of tense, you would add that tense down here, or time. It's really temporal tense, and that's and tense. And the ing part is the aspect part. It's continuing. What did she say? What is this one? You taking picture. In other words, it's happening over time versus you took a picture representing one time, or you take a picture. But R should have been there, but it's not. But then again, the kid is, how old is this kid? This child? How old is this child? Excuse me, how old?
I'm looking for the age, but I don't see on my sample.
Can't hear. Oh, I gave you the thing, right? I forgot. Sorry about that. I forgot. Usually in a normal world, this would have been a language sample that you yourself would have collected with somewhere or other. But unfortunately, it's a different reality these days. Well, are you following me? Now, this doesn't have, the only coordination here, and it's going to be, is tense. That's the coordination. I quite frankly, it's internal too, but Leahy doesn't handle it that way. It's part of a sentence, internal to the sentence. You cannot have a sentence without time. I've said that before, and I'll say that a million times here. Time has to be there or implied somehow. If there's no time, no sentence. And if there's time, but the event didn't really happen, may not happen, then there's more problems, more complications. Let's go to level 4. So if it was saying you taking my picture, then it would still be action, but the my goes with the noun as part of the complement. So that's a coordinate and another possession, right? Down here, it goes down here. Are you taking my pretty picture? If it was pretty picture, well, then it's like the one above, it adds attribution to it down here. And it's systematic. What's the difference between internal to the SVC and coordinated with part of it, but outside of the SVC as a unit? Because the brain is making that analysis. It is computing that in comprehending language or producing it. It's the computation we target when we do intervention over the long term, how we can influence that. It is the problem with the computation that will be language disorder. Any experiential issue, lack of vocabulary, this or that, will not be a language disorder. It is a problem which we can treat, but it is not a problem related to mind function. It's related to context mismatches and stuff. Am I being clear? Is everybody clear on this? And this relates to projects you're doing here. It's related also to your clinical work, both in terms of assessment and treatment. Any other questions? Now, this part here has to do with pragmatics, but right now I'm really focusing here right now on content form. That is the semantic relation and the syntax that expresses it. Which is what your analysis here is. I'll come back to the use, the function stuff subsequently. Not going to save that, but I will go to the Leahy level 4, just reminding us what we did. Blah, blah, blah. And I referred you to Leahy chapter 8 that has the, on pages 186 and 187, the developmental taxonomy and the definitions of these things, core content categories. We did that last week, good. Leahy level 4. Is this type of a sheet, which we, I think, reviewed last week, with these content categories, which are printed this way. Mood or VI, additive, temporal, causal, specification, adversative, communication, and notice. Does anybody, so therefore I'm going to ask from the group, can somebody identify, do you have in your language sample it's interesting, developmentally, by the way, communication on the Leahy sheet is the last one to develop of the two verb ones. The first one is the volition intention one. And then additive, it's in order here, additive, temporal, causal, and epistemic, specification, adversative, communication, and notice. So let me ask for an example of whatever I just said. What I asked for? Anybody have a temporal complex sentence? Two verbs, temporal. From everybody? Just to quickly do a review. Farzana, temporal. Now give me a complex sentence of any sort.
Yep, look, I can show you this.
Look, I can show you this, right? Look, I can show you this. What do I want to do with it? I realize you're not seeing this. I'm trying to think. Look, what is it? Look.
Look, I can show you this.
Yeah, I can show you this. Farzana, stick with it then. I can show you this. I'm going to now share screen and see if I can pull this off. Do you see the two of these things next to each other?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's go. There you go. So what content category of this list here would you put this into? Now, in this case, level 4, this is not the same chart as the other chart. So your approach to this is different. It's a different analytic thing. It is verb relation again, but it's more than one verb. So it's look. Well, how many verbs here are there? And I'm sticking with Farzana.
3.
There are 3. Go ahead, name them.
Look, can, show.
Excellent. Look, can, and show. So the way we do it 2 verbs at a time. It's verb relation thing. And it could be 2 verbs you have or multi-verb, because that's the way kids are. How old is your child, Farzana? No, you don't know because I gave it to you. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I apologize. I don't remember. I took the samples. Well, okay. So look the first two verbs are look can or look I can. So what content category would you put that into?
Notice.
Yeah, very good. Notice. Everybody sees that? Look, I can notice. And then you have, I can show you, can show. So it gets a second relationship. First relationship, look, I can show. It's notice because look means notice. Pay attention, look. And then can show.
Action.
Well, you are correct that the verb show is action, but you will see along these lines here, there is no action here. It doesn't exist. It does not exist at level 4. It does exist, but it's already done deal. If the kids are already at level 4, they've got action, and you'll see it there, but you don't have to bother accounting for it. In fact, in this case,
Epistemic,
it's something else anyway, but go ahead.
epistemic,
No, because epistemic is knowing, thinking, understanding. The two verbs are can show.
it's mood, sorry.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's mood. It's a modal. Can is a modal verb. Can raises the issue I mentioned just a minute ago. It's one of, this is mood, or you learned it potentially as intention volition. They should also put their P, possibility. In fact, I'm going to talk about possibility and cognitives when I talk about cognition here. Possibility. And can show. You got can. And that, by the way, is where the tense is. Look, I can show you. But can show you doesn't mean I am showing you. I did show you. It means it's possible. But once you get the world of language, when it's possible, then the different languages have ways of handling that. So you have can, and show is infinitive, even though it doesn't have to there. It's just the root. It has no tense. You can't have any tense on it. You can't say I can show to you yesterday. No, I can show you. Well, in English, the future anyway isn't attached to the verb. But let's do Spanish. Let's go back to Spanish. How do you say I can show you? Forget the look. Well, you can put the look in there. Can we get the Spanish version? Mira.
Mira,
Yeah.
yo te puedo enseñar,
Yo puedo. Puedo, right?
puedo. Well, there's two ways. You can put yo te puedo enseñar esto o yo te enseño esto.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yo te puedo.
Puedo.
Wait a second. I'm thinking for a second. Yo te puedo. Sorry about that. I love that. Yo te puedo. What show?
Enseñar.
I can. Enseñar?
Mhm.
I can't. Well, you know something? Someone taught me how to do the little wheelie thing. How do you do it on the Mac? You hit Command. No, you do. Is it Control N or Command N or what? You know how to make the little wiggly things and stuff?
I just insert it by symbols with Word.
You don't have to do that. You have a Mac?
Yes.
Yeah. I learned how to do this. I forgot already, for crying out loud, and I do it. So yeah. Wait, let me figure it out. 1 second. If you get nothing else from the course, it's how to do it. Otherwise, next time I'll do it for you.
Okay.
Oh, option. It's option. It's optional. Here it is. Look. How's that? It's option.
You clicked option N.
First you put option. Yeah, I knew I wanted. I didn't know I wanted N. Well, you put option, yeah, and then
Okay.
N, and it'll pick it up.
Okay, thank you.
And you use option with whatever letter you want, and it'll give you in many cases, it'll give you a choice. If it can't figure out the language you're working on. Oh, it knew the language, that's why. The computer read that I was writing in Spanish. So it set you up. If you're writing in Spanish, it'll take care of it. It'll make all the
Okay.
markings, if it knows your markings. Interesting. How's that? Mira, right? Now, mira is you look, right?
Yeah,
Because
look, mira.
because it's a directive. In English, it's a little different. You don't phonologically say you, but in Spanish, you do because the mira is a second person, singular, right?
Yes.
Then you have yo, well, this is interesting here. Yo, and again, why am I taking a minute to do Spanish? First of all, enseñar though, right? I'm
Yeah,
incorrect. Enseñar, because I want, enseñar is what form of the verb? That verb is show. But
Show.
that AR at the end, what does that indicate?
Well, it could be show or teach.
Let's stick with that
Because
right
if you
now.
want little show, you could be yo te puedo demostrar,
Demonstrar also.
which is like
Yeah,
demonstrate to show you.
I get it. Yeah, absolutely. Demonstrar. Does that depend on dialect, or is it that's everybody has that choice? I guess in English, too.
Yeah, I guess it depends on each person.
Yeah. RAR, the AR thing, what does that signify to you? In other words, can I say, yo te demonstrar?
Yo te demostrar.
Does that make a sentence?
That's a dialect because there are people who speak like that. That's a dialect.
Okay, well, AR means what?
AR, that's the verb ending. So demostrar.
Yeah, but is it first person, second person? Is it present? Is it future? What is it?
Demostrar is just present because first person will be yo te demuestro. That's
Yeah,
first.
no, demonstro, no, okay, but in fact, you're gonna tell me, in your dialect, you can't, that's not gonna work, will it? Yo te demonstrar won't work. Am I correct? Forget the Plato thing.
Mhm,
In other words, you can't, that doesn't mean I demonstrate,
mhm.
because you gotta say demonstro. It's infinitive, everybody. I'll say to you. That AR means no tense. Infinitive means no tense, because you're using an auxiliary thing here, can, the modal, whether you had acquisition with me or with Dr. Nagano, you learned about modals, or the thingies here. Following me? Followed by an infinitive. This te, by the way, in Spanish, now, some people complain about me that I spend some time in other languages. But this is language disorders in children. I guarantee all of you are going to be working with kids who are bilingual, even if you're monolingual. And if you're bilingual Russian or Spanish, you're going to be working with bilingual Arabic children or something sometimes. That's the way it is. So we have a responsibility to ask these questions. How does the other language handle this stuff? Well, there's a difference in English and Spanish. This, in English, it's I can show you this, but the te thing is what? Called eclitic, I think.
Like I can show you, like you.
Yeah, but yeah, so look, what's the exact translation? I
Can.
no, that is
No,
not.
like yo.
You can show or to show.
Show you. Yeah.
Am I
You
right?
can also, yeah, or you can also do, instead of putting the te in front of the puedo, you can put mira, yo puedo enseñarte, and put the te at the ending of the verb.
Okay, so you have that option?
Yes.
So it's, I can show this to you. That's right. You, that's right. I get it. And also, where's the this, however?
Well, it'll be, mira, yo te puedo enseñarte esto. So at the end you put esto.
Okay, we need us to, okay, we're putting this. Okay, I don't have time to play around with this. I wish I just. Because if you want to say, I can, never mind. Yeah, well, what if I say, never mind, I don't want to spend the time. Okay, so that becomes two of these things. One is can, one is look, mira, which is notice, and can show, which is mood or bi. The mood comes from the old Leahy and it means modal. She just says mood. And that's how you do. You simply put in X. You write the sentence over here under utterance. You'll have a blank form of this. And you just put an X in the content slots. And you don't have to talk about the syntax on this particular sheet on the level 4. I spend time on it because you're going to have to evaluate syntax in your clients. That's why. And let's do one more of these just to have done it. And then I'm opening this again. You bring your things in and share with me. I'm willing to work with you on it. And plus, everybody could use the practice. I guarantee it. Who wants to give me one? Taylor?
You said, what kind of sentence did you want?
What kind are we working on here at level 4? You tell me.
I could say, trying to find one with the verb because in my thing it's a lot of adjectives. Let's play with more toys.
Okay. This will be the most frequent type you're going to find in the kids, I would guess. And I messed up here. Oh God, I was talking. I'm trying to put the other word. There it is. Share screen. Okay, Taylor, you said let's what?
My child said, let's play with more toys.
Yeah, let's play with more toys. How many verbs there?
One, play,
Say that again.
play.
Yeah, is that one verb sentence then?
Yes.
Then you'd have to find a different one because what are we working on right now?
Did you want with 2 verbs?
You don't want 2 verbs, but you did give me a 2 verb sentence because
Oh.
let is another verb. Because what does it mean?
That they're going to do it.
What's a synonym for let? Let's play. No, we don't. Yeah, we don't know for sure they're going to do it. That's the point. It falls into this category. These things are. I'm gonna explain something to you in a minute. Go ahead. What's a synonym for let? Let's play in English. That is, of course.
I guess. Can we or like go?
No, that's not exactly let. I mean let. What does let mean? Define let as a word, as a vocabulary word. Just say that shows up on A vocabulary test we choose to give. We're working with a kid who's bilingual and needs to know what that means in English. Excuse me, I didn't hear.
Yeah. To allow.
Yeah, allow, right, exactly. Allow us. It works. You can replace it. Allow us to play with more toys. Let's play with more toys. Permit us to play with more toys. That's pretty close, right? If you click a thesaurus, you'll see they'll give you the list. Yeah, they're all synonyms. So let's play. So it's the two verbs. Which one would you put it in to? I'm not going to go to another language on this, but let's. In Spanish, am I right? In Spanish, it's vamos something or other, right? You do it a different way.
Yes, vamos.
Yeah, vamos. What's play? Wait a second. I know that.
Jugar.
Who got it right?
Mhm.
Again, infinitive, right? Vaya jugar.
Yes.
Yeah, let's play. In English, same thing, as it turns out. And via, it's quite frankly a little different.
Go,
Say that again.
go,
I can't hear you.
like go play.
Well, let's play. No, it's permit. In English, it's permit and allow. In Spanish, it's a different, slightly different thing. It's a different kind of modal. It's a semi-modal anyway, it's not a modal. Ava, what's the content category? Let's play. Where play is infinitive, by the way, again. The tense is on let.
Present or like future. Let's.
Now I need the content category.
Oh, the content category. Adversative.
Adversative, and I'm going to go through each one again just to give you a quick example of these. If you need the examples, everybody, I'm going to go around and just have everybody give me an example. Make one up. It's mood again. It's intention, volition. It's intention, volition for sure. It's IV mood. Again, it's modal. And that means it is not, we're saying let's play, but whether it's ever going to happen is up in the air. You have the structure. Let's play. What did we just say? I can play. Can we play? Can we play? That's almost the same. It's kind of asking for much. Is it possible? Not quite the same. Can we play? Also, I want to play. I need to play. I have to play. I'm going to play, which is more like via jugar, etc. Are you following me? Anytime you have a state verb, like allow or permit, and play, an action verb, which has got no tense attached to it, then that will go into mood. And that's going to be the most frequent type of two-verb sentence, I guarantee anybody finds in these things with kids. Are you following me, Taylor?
Yeah, it's because you don't know if they're actually going to play, so that's why it would go into that category, right?
Yeah, well, it's real, yeah, but it's a state followed by an infinitive verb.
Okay.
It's usually an action verb. You're right, and since you don't know, the term for that is subjunctive mood. Might as well teach it to you. Subjunctive mood, which is I will make a note for you and highlight. It's in it's in a slide there. Not mood, subjunctive. I'm sorry. It is mood, but it's I'm going to call it subjunctive voice, and that is uncertainty. Language hates uncertainty. Language likes things to happen so you can check on it until it's true. These days, that Nobody seems to care very much, but language cares. So it can pretend. So if you say, I'm playing, well, you can see that. I played, you can check with somebody. I gave it. I will play. English has issues with that. But it sounds like definite. Sounds like a tense. But could I play? That's subjunctive. Can I play? Should I play? I want to play even, and I need to play, all of which, especially could, should, can, and stuff like that. That is, we never know if it's ever going to happen. So those are modal things, and the voice, that makes for subjunctive voice. And if I scratch the surface of Spanish a little bit here, I don't have the time right now, or other languages, you'll see how this stuff is handled, or it's handled in different ways. Similar, but it's a good question to ask if you're working with a child who is bilingual. You can always, you should ask yourself, how does that child's language handle uncertainty? Handle modals. Some languages do not like them. I'm going to go down the list of people here and ask you, I'm going to call out then we're going to take a break. I'm going to call out the content category just to make sure we have a basis for continuing on. And then I'm going to shift to cognition as another maintaining factor that we should pay attention to in language disorders. So, Tia, give me an additive sentence, just make one up. This stuff applies to everybody, adults too. Like us.
I got a pen and a gun.
No, I want two verbs. Okay, but that won't count as I have a pen and I have one verb and that becomes possession.
Do you want me to give another one?
Yeah, that one doesn't count.
Okay, I sit here and you sit there.
Yeah, I sit here and you sit there, that's right. Because it's two parallel separate things, even though you're using sit, or I sit there and you stand there, to be less confusing. But you understand, I have a pencil and a pen is possession because it's not two events, and additive is two events. Everybody clear? Yes, temporal going to Jane Yevgenia.
I actually have a sample of myself.
Oh, great, read it.
I was like a baby when I go to the doctor.
Yeah, perfect, yeah. I was like a baby when I go to the doctor. Excellent, wonderful, cool. Anybody have a causal in your sentence, in your, Robert, do you have a causal one there?
Yes. You get bigger eating all that.
Let me write that out. I know you don't see it. I know I have to share. Oh, no, I'm not sharing. Am I sharing? Yeah, I am. Am I sharing? No. I'm going to write it in. Say that again.
You get bigger eating all that.
Okay. You get bigger. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'm thinking for a second. Leahy, I'm afraid, isn't the be all and end all of everything. How old is your client, your kid?
This is from.
Oh, you don't know, it's from the thing. From 1 second to another, I can't remember. But it's like by eating all that.
Yeah, I'm missing like the because.
No, no, they're not. This is a perfect sentence. Because it's a participle, eating. Eating all that is a participle, really. And I'm thinking to myself, but it's operating as, but I'm not going to bother with that in this class right now. It's two verbs, get and is eat operating as a verb here? Because a participle, because eating all that gets you bigger. If it was this sentence here, I'm asking every time I see an eating, a verb by itself with an ing on it, I ask myself, what exactly is it? Because eating, if I say eating makes you heavy, eating makes you or gets you heavy, right? Eating. What part of grammar is eating?
No.
That's right, noun. If I said eating all that makes you heavy, what kind of a phrase am I looking at? It is a noun phrase. Eating all that makes you big, I think. Eating all that makes you heavy. You think it's verb?
Yeah, I felt like it's sort of like the thing where they don't. Really
Yeah, maybe.
Like you eating all that.
No. Yeah, it's another story I could tell you, but I'm not. Eating makes that, eating, I'm going to say I'm calling it a noun phrase, but I'm giving you an assignment. You check it out. I'm not going to check it now. And come back and you, in fact, when we get in touch again, because we're doing work together, just remember this, that was an assignment. Check that out. Because that could be a noun followed by a complement in a noun phrase. Because if eating makes you heavy, and eating is a participle, and if eating is a gerund, it's a noun, then why wouldn't it be a noun why can't I add all that to it? And why can't this be a noun phrase? And I don't know, I think it might be. And part of syntax has a theory. It's interestingly enough, it's analyzable, it's debatable, some of it. Syntax isn't 100% black and white. I'm going with noun phrase. So let's see if I am right or wrong. But it's causal, I would agree. Does everybody understand that an ing thing a verb with an ing can become a noun? And it's hard to tell. You know what I'm saying? I like skiing. Is what? What is skiing? It's a noun. I like to ski. That's a verb. Isn't that weird? And I can make it an adjective because I can say, I like skiing children. Now it's an adjective. So anybody who learned about person, places, and things and stuff like that can forget it. It's an action and stuff like that. It's what part of grammar is it being made into? The word. What's it functioning as in a sentence? That's the question. Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it a word? Let's just quickly go through this. Anybody have a causal? We did causal already. We heard it. Epistemic.
I
Let me
think
stop
it's
share.
cute.
Who's speaking?
Maria,
Epistemic.
I think he is cute.
Great. Dahlia. Communication. The last one to develop, as it turns out. Dahlia? I see you there. But I don't-
Yes,
I don't hear you.
can you hear me now?
I can.
Oh, okay.
Give us an example of whatever I just said. Communication. Or do you have one in your sample?
I have a different one that's not communication.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
I know I saw him.
Good, and what would it be?
Notice.
No. Because the two verbs are what?
Know and saw.
Yeah. If the kid said, I saw that, he was skiing or something like that, then you'd be correct. Because saw would be followed by another clause that has a verb in it that's noticing something. But you said, I know, and then you're explaining what you know. So that would be what content category? I know that you saw him. No. It's on the list here. You don't have to look anywhere but here.
I can't see it.
You can't see this? I'm not sure.
No, no.
Sorry about that. I mean to share. If I could figure out how to share. Crap. I don't want to get away that way, so. Oh, you're on, wait, the Zoom meeting is you. Share screen. Here, see the list? So I get it, I get the notes, but the notice is not it's not the head of the predicate. The head of the predicate is look. So it's look, was it look? What was the word? It was no.
I know I
I
saw
know,
him.
sorry. The head of the predicate was a no, and then the rest of it is a complement. I know that. So what content category is it?
Epistemic.
Yeah, it's epistemic, right? It gets the name of the head of the predicate. That's what the content category is going to be in that case, anyway. There are two more. Adversative. Who knows what adversative is? Adversative, Jessica. You have an adversative, or can you make one up? Relationship.
I don't have an adversative, but is that when two parts in the sentence do not agree?
Yeah, you just produced one yourself.
So-
Thank you.
so
Say the
it's
same
like,
thing you just said again. You just did it. You
I don't
yourself-
remember what I just said.
you-
Oh, I
you
don't
said,
have one,
Is this?
Oh,
But you said but something about with a but in there. So right away, that's the
Yeah.
typical conjunction for this. You could say, I don't know, but it's probably this or that. That's adversative, like
Oh, wow.
contrasting things, like you said, right?
uh-huh.
Because you did contrast. Thank you. Everybody following that? Oppositional things.
Professor, is adversative same as antithesis? I remember it with Professor Nagano, we used antithesis, and it's like when we have.
Antithesis, yeah, right.
Yeah, the same.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, this is it looks like a cat, but it's a dog.
Okay.
It looks like it's
So it's-
raining, but it's really sunny out. It's oppositional. It used to have another name. It used to be called that. It was an opposite name, but they changed it to adversative from first to second edition. Yeah, antithesis. That's a good way to put it. I like that. Great, good, very good. The last one is specification. It's a relative clause sentence using the syntax. Who can, Kiara, what did I say? Specification. Then a break, after this, a break. Go ahead.
Maybe that man drives that truck. Like something like that.
I need to, what are we working on now?
Like two verbs?
Yeah, two verbs, so I need a
Okay,
sentence
so
with two
the
verbs.
man-
Bellman drives that truck, you're right, that is
Truck.
specification coordinated.
Would it be like went under the bridge? Like, would that be like a two verb
Yeah,
sentence?
yeah, relative clause, I need a relative clause, period, I'm telling, make a sentence with a relative clause in it, and that will be specification. Or check your thing to see if you have one. You probably won't, because that's another late developing thing. The syntax makes it late developing. And for language disorders, you have to know that, because that is a big deal. Relative clauses.
So like. I can't think of what it'd be like, so.
It's
it
gonna
would
be a noun phrase, make a
so
noun
the
phrase
man who
subject.
drives the truck,
Yeah, say that again, start again.
the man who drives the truck,
Okay. Finish the sentence. Got a ticket.
got a ticket, yeah.
The man who I actually this morning had to go for a ticket. I got away with it. I postponed the ticket for 4 years. That's the best thing to do if you got a traffic ticket, postpone. And if you're gonna get points, it drops off anyway after 2 years. So in New York State, if you postpone, there's another, if you get, I'm giving you valuable information. Postpone, you get an automatic postponement that gives you at least a year. The second postponement gives you 2, and you can force a third one. That'll get you 4 years for sure. Well, in any event, I got myself off from the ticket, which I deserve to get. Yeah, so the truck driver who was the man who was a truck driver, because the full subject, noun phrase subject, is what? The man who was a truck driver. And the predicate is got a ticket. So when you put a complement or an object into a noun, you merge it with a noun, you have a relative clause. And that is always specification or object specification at level 4. Very good. Let's break then until 4:45, 10-minute break, and then cognition here finally.